Good everyone, you're listening to Blue Collar Chat Podcast, and I'm your host, Splash. I have a very fun, impromptu podcast, might I say, with my friend JD. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Well, before I introduce who JD is, let's listen to our sponsor, TREP. No handouts, just work. That is the motto of blue collars across the world. You and me alike, we understand what it is to get off a job site, look all dirty, getting ready to go out to dinner, trying to find some clothes that still represent that we are blue collar to the bone. Well, visit my friends at TREP Wear. That's TREP wear.com. What is TREP, you ask? It stands for the real everyday people. That's you. That's you every day. You are real. You are an everyday human being that just loves and has passion about what you do. Well, wear it pridefully on your shirts, on your shorts, on your jackets, and on your baseball hats. Visit my friends at trepwear.com and use my code SPLASH25, get 25% off, and be part of the real everyday people of the blue collar world. All right, we're back. Thank you so much for staying with me on that. Everyone, you know what? I got to tell you, I've loved this podcast. I love doing it. It's been an interesting week. We're recording on Valentine's week, so it's like the 5th. I don't even know what date. I think it's the 15th or 16th today.
That hard.
Yep, happy Valentine's, everyone. This podcast, we're looking March, April, May, JD. I have no idea. So I was on social media today just running through. Someone called me and said, hey, have you talked to JD from BOXTOWN? I'm like, I know the guy, and I haven't really talked to him, but you're always busy. You always seem to be at trade shows. I didn't see you at NHS, which was kind of like, oh, weird, because usually you're at them. But for those that don't know, what is BOXTOWN? Because that's your company.
Yeah. BOXTOWN is essentially we make innovative products for contractors and do-yourselfers. Whether you have that skill set or you don't, I try to make the products where they benefit you in some way and it's something better for another. So if it doesn't appeal to you in like the major way, there is some kind of appeal that it would get to you for. But a lot of the stuff is because I made it as a need. I created the products because I needed them when I was working as a low voltage technician for over 20 years. So I understand using the struggles of ladders and other tools that I wanted out there that wasn't there.
So you guys are going to hear in this, I'll be the first person to throw myself under a bus. So JD and I met you 4 years ago, I think, at the National Hardware Show. I had used your products. We've given your products away on Splash's 12 Days giveaway. We're not going to get into the specific product, but you're going to hear your boy Splash swallow some of my words because in this world of tool creation and being a professional, those of us that are professional contractors, we tend to walk this line of like, we are the contractor, screw the DIYers. But there is a space for everybody in the tools. There's a space for all tools on the market. And we'll get to that story a little bit later, but let's go back. Before you started BOXTOWN, you told me you did something. You just said it. You were an electrical
low voltage technician.
What is that?
I
don't even know what it is. So what is it?
Anybody say electricians deal with voltage above say 48 to 1,000. Anything between like 12 volts, 24 volts is considered low voltage. So that's your HVAC technicians. Well, I take that back. HVAC deals with high voltage because they have to disconnect them from the AC. But low voltage is your alarm technicians, from your home alarms to your fire systems, to your access control and networking. Like anybody who does networking for coax or Cat5, those cablings, your cable technician, those are considered low voltage. So that trade is equal to electrician as far as what you have to do, but you just don't work with it as high as electricity. But you have to know a lot of stuff. And I'm licensed in 4 categories in my state, which is I'm licensed to work on commercial Firebird, commercial access control, and CCTV. So anything you do with cameras, you have the license. At least in Oklahoma, most states you have to have a license. So I do all those things.
And even though you have a new business, you've still maintained your license.
Yes, I went full time into business last year, and my license is good for 2 years after quitting, or and basically not being in the field. So, but I can be essentially under a company to retain my license. But if not, then I have to retake all the tests to get it back. If
Okay.
I go past that 2 years.
Each state's different. So I'm
Hmm.
not painting right now. I still have my license. I carry everything. It's just a thing they call it a dissolved, not even dissolved. It's I forget, I was just talking to someone about it. I'm still a GC. I'm actually getting ready to go take the GC again,
Nice.
the 2 year class. I'm always going to keep mine. Not that I'm going back to painting. There's like one reason, and one reason only I would do it. I have children, and my kids, my two boys, they're kind of at that age where they want to go do things. And I got to be on the job. I got to help them out, whatever their desires. I'm coming that parent. Like, what do you want to do? If my kids told me today they wanted to own a paint business, I would hustle with them and show them, but I'm not going to paint with them. I'm not going to paint for them. I'm going to show them. So,
Yeah, right.
but that's good. So that makes sense. So like security systems, is it anything that's not being plugged into a wall? Would you say? I mean, I guess you
Uh,
do.
yeah, I mean, I guess to a degree. I mean, we
Yeah.
still have to do with high voltage, but we don't. We're not supposed to touch it, but a lot of times we have to going with it. So um, it's just for I know like we're contractors, we're painters. You're mostly in like a new construction like place, and it's like from your truck back to the site. But when you're dealing the say the commercial world of like say like I am hooking up the security system inside of a Best Buy. I got to park my car way out there, and I'm running wire through there, and then I'm taking my ladder from outside in the parking lot all the way to the backside or to the second story and having to do the run. And that is where like you come in with the packing the ladder a long way. How I kind of got into my original product was having to carry my own ladder because in the low voltage section, if you're under a business, they make you have to carry your own ladder. You can't use anybody else's ladder because it's against the company policy. And if basically if you get hurt in their ladder or somebody else's ladder, they're liable. So that's like a big no. You don't not use anybody else's ladder because yours is approved. So you got to carry your own ladder everywhere.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be shocked, but the regular consumer would be shocked. I've always told my guys, anyone on the job site that's under splash, I'm like, don't use anyone else's ladder. If a homeowner
Mhm.
offers you one, don't use it. Like we have our own. We had more than we needed to. So you in the industry, you just said you parked away from the building, and you create your first tool is an essentially it's an assistant to help you carry your ladder. Your first product, love it. I actually still use it to this day. It's a yellow one you sent me. I actually
Mhm.
have one of your OGs, I think. I really think I met you right. I met you before the paintbrush uh,
Mhm.
part was out. And I do have some. Actually, you sent me a box full because you were part of the 12 days giveaway when I would run on my social media page for Christmas. My guys loved it. So those that don't know, if you can, I'll let you explain in your words what is the
Mhm.
actual product we're talking about for ladders.
It's a XL carrier. It essentially allows you to pack many things. Ladders being one of them. Step ladders, extension ladders, and then for painters, then you have it for carrying multiple paint cans up to four. That's what my patent is granted for on that one. And you can carry 5 gallon buckets. But if you're, it's not for carrying like 1 gallon can and you're just doing a paint job, but it's for when you're having to carry it out from outside the building, like you're going up to like the 10th floor to do a job. And you don't have a cart. It's there for when you need it, and it's kind of on a ladder. It's there, and you don't have to go looking for it. It's kind of you just keep it attached to your ladder, and it's there for when you need it for other purposes or for carrying that ladder long ways. And I made it where you can carry it different directions. So when there's horizontal, you carry it long ways, and then when you carry a ladder straight up and down, like you're in an elevator, it covers your hand that direction. So I made it very versatile.
Yeah. You will if you visit JD's website, boxtownproducts.com, you can go purchase one today. But I'm looking at it right now. You have four series, and then your series one includes the roller. So I have all of them but the roller version, and maybe series four, because I think series four is a little bit newer, but they're pretty universal. Like you
Hmm.
were saying. So for me, and this, and I mean this non-egotistical, but a 40-foot ladder for me, it's relatively easy. It's
Hmm.
never been I've never truly quote unquote struggled with it, but I've watched many of contractors not be able to. But with your product on a 40-foot, we'll just talk a 40-foot extent, meaning it's 20-foot closed up. But to carry
Hmm.
that thing around, those aluminum, they're pretty heavy. I mean, they're pretty
Hmm.
heavy. So with your product, for me, I just had one handle, I had to balance it in the middle. But a lot of my guys, especially newer into the contractor world in that blue collar space, they don't have that upper arm strength. There's a lot of shoulder movements. I really feel like when I first talked to you, I know we had talked about why you wanted to create it. You don't want that wear and tear on your shoulders. We're already above it. We're talking specifically in the blue collar realm. Like a lot of us are on ladders, especially with what you do with technical work, drywallers, mutters, everything's over our shoulders. And
Hmm.
so there's a lot of wear and tear already from that. And you created this product that lets you, like, I want to say dead arm carry, because for me, that's what it's like. When my guys would connect them to the ladder and we'd carry them together, it's like just holding a suitcase. It was very
Right.
lightweight and
Hmm.
ergonomical. I don't know if that's a word
Yeah.
in your it's very ergonomically correct. You like taking that strain away and all that. I don't know if many people understand this, but imagine when you grab your ladder, the grip you have to have, and that pulling those forearm muscles all the way up to your bicep and your shoulders. With this, it's like you just hold the handle. I mean, I can hold it with two fingers, probably one,
Hmm.
and it just balanced itself out. Was there a particular moment, because your story behind how you create, I wanted you to get that, but before you went home and started jotting this down, was there a job site or was there an incident that happened? You were like, all right, that's it. I've fucking had enough of this.
Yeah, you're damn right. There who it was. I was working in a hospital, and bear in mind, just like y'all, I've been carrying a ladder for years of this time. So this is probably 15 years, but most of my time was basically from the I would say where you park right into somebody's front of their house, and then you go into the house with it. That's not very far. I'm talking about when you have to carry something more than like 5 minutes, 10 minutes up to the site with not your my ladder. I had to do that at this particular location, and I just started getting more into the commercial start, not residential. I was having to carry this at a hospital, but they made it, since we're a contractor for the hospital, they made us park on the third story of the parking lot, which was the like full opposite of where we had to walk to. So we had to go 3 flights of stairs, or not stairs, but elevators, with my equipment all the way to the other end. And to put that in perspective, that was walking 3 lengths of a football field with this 300-pound 6 foot ladder and my equipment to take it over to the next part. And then we couldn't leave it there. We had to do it at the end of the day, take it all the way back to the vehicle. So there was, after 2 days of this, taking it there and back, then I looked online to see if there was something to help pack the ladder, because I was losing time. I kept having to put the ladder down because it would shift, it would dig into my hands, and then I would let it drop, switch hands, and then start again, let it drop, switch hands, go again. Uh, and that's when I looked online, and there wasn't something there. So I just put on my thinking cap or my wizard hat and started drawing some stuff out. I found a CAD essentially person that can do it on Craigslist. I drew it out, and then he put it into 3D format. Then I was able to see it, and then after several testing with 3D printer, came up with a final product. But if you looked at my site, the one you just seen that you hadn't seen before, which is the XL Pro, that's my original design. But while it messed up in my 3D printer, while I was printing up the height going up, and I discovered that it had stopped, so it stopped printing. So I was able to use a ladder with only 2 inches of it when I was making it to be 6 inches tall.
Yeah.
So I went out with that one instead, because it would have been a smaller mold, basically to prove there was a market for it, because there was nothing out there before that I saw. So I went up there and did that one that way. So, but it took me a lot of years later to eventually come up with the product I wanted, which will allow you to put your drill gun to the side, and then like also a cock gun. Where for me with the drill gun, because I've always had putting like say cameras on top of a ladder, the holes were never there because they were getting covered because you're on top part of your ladder, or you were standing on it and you had nowhere to put your drill gun. So I wanted all the four of those things the way I needed as a low voltage technician.
As a contractor, we're so needy. We're so needy. We want everything like right there, like served on a silver platter. Like that's white collar. That's white collar shit. Like that's not who we are. But we want like I want my drill. I want to hold my drill, and
Mhm.
just I mean, there's plenty of tools out there. Um, when you one thing about commercial work that if you've never worked commercial work, maybe JD and I can pull a little bit of the Wizard of Oz curtain back for you. You can't park wherever you want. It's not
Right.
like your residential job. Like we've done commercial work for the state here in Utah. We weren't allowed to even park near the doors, not even to unload, like
Mhm.
zero. And if we ever used the unloading docks, it was 1 hour. There was 1 hour that we could do it in the morning and 1 hour like at night. Because other than that, they had to keep it open for whatever reason it was. One of them was we did the IRS building and we literally had a park. And I mean, your tool came in handy for our guys. And not that they were that big, but like you got to realize when you're carrying a tool belt and everything, when you get into commercial work, you're really there's a lot of from the business owner's perspective, from my perspective, there's a lot of documentation we have to sign that we're not going to do. Then you call
Mhm.
a meeting with your crew and they're all probably all laughing. It's like, yeah, that's stupid. But like, no, there's like a documentation, like you tell these like, hey, we're not going to park here. We're not going to pull up here. Our girlfriends, like in one of the clauses for the clause, one of them, it verbatim said, you will not have guests come into the parking lot. They have to meet you off site.
Mhm.
Like that's real shit. Like that just is what it is. So when you got I think you said it's a cat. What is that? What is that? I know what you're talking about, but for those that don't know, when you want a product built out, like you have this vision in your mind and you're
Mhm.
writing it down. What is that person? Are they a cat?
They're a CAD a CAD CAD
And
designer.
oh, a CAD designer. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you started doing this idea, did you tell your friends? Did they think you were crazy?
No, I didn't tell nobody but my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife.
Congrats.
And thank you. I did not want to, I guess, let the cat out of the bag until I actually filed my patent. I did tell
Mhm.
two friends, but I had essentially my something to show. And then like one of my closest friends, I did show him as soon as I had it, my finished version of the small thing, and then just to get opinions because you can when you have a baby, somebody's gonna tell you it's cute, sometimes it's ugly. I needed to see if it really was ugly from good opinions, but people thought it was such a good idea, and I did it as well because it fitted my need. Um, but then um, I just had to now see if others would go for it. But I didn't put out several testing. I just went for it and said, if I need it, I know a lot of people that would definitely need this.
When you once you have the item in your hand, was your intentions when you had the CAD write it up to make it universal for everybody, or were you just making it for you to use, thinking, "Hey, I'm going to benefit from this. It was worth 200, 1,000, whatever it was, to have them made up." Was that your first thought, or did you really go into hiring a CAD guy or gal and be like, "I'm going to mass produce this"? Where were you on that?
Um, I guess there's two answers to that one.
Yeah.
Uh, my first for making it, yes, was to be mass produced, but the original design for it was to go for ladders and just cricket ladders. And actual other uses that it came to be for the like paint cans, it just happened to work out that way. I had customers that told me like, "Hey, you could use it for this and this for that," and it just happened to be perfectly worked for those equally. So like equally carrying the paint can 1 gallon cans was equal as to carrying the ladders, and it all just fit, and it had its reasons. So through it's kind of like if you start up with your business, you're going to get a customer feedback, and then you try to make those more improvements. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should put booties on my shoes, stuff like this, which makes it a better experience. And those customers that help get that feedback, which then led to my new model or the model that you had, which is the yellow one that you got.
Uh-huh.
That was my second version because I got the feedback from other from users, and you're not going to get that until you are able to get that out to people.
Yeah.
So you got to start somewhere. You can't make everything perfect right off the bat because you'll never release it trying to or you're trying to get going because you're always trying to perfect it. and it's not going to get that way because the perfection might have to be a separate part of it in a way.
Oh, nice. One thing I'll commend you on, JD, and I've never actually told you this, and I appreciate this from you as an inventor. And you said like you don't want people to judge your baby. I've never seen you in the times I've looked at your social media or when I've seen other people post videos or pictures of your products, you've never lashed out. It takes quite the human being to not listen or hear the shit that people talk about a product. You
Mm.
know, I met a very good friend through this journey of being Splash that literally, and after I'll tell you who it is, but I know you know who this cat is, but I just saw him like literally trying to like swarm off everybody on Instagram. It was before TikTok was around. And I wrote him, I got in his DMs because that's me. I slide into DMs. I'm like, hey man, give me a call when you get a chance. You know, calls me up, and I listened to him talk for an hour, really before I got any word out. And he finds like, why'd you call me? I said, don't talk shit. Don't listen to people, man. Don't don't listen to people talk shit about your tool. And it was really hard for him to understand that, but it's very rare in this industry where someone's a tool creator like yourself and they don't take offense. It's not to say that you don't, maybe behind doors you understand or you digest it differently, but like, you know, I'm clapping for it because I wish that whatever it is that you do that way, you know, spread that word because it's hard. It's hard for people, you know, and
Hmm.
you know other people that are in this industry. You've been around enough that you've met people, and it's probably like, why? Like, it's just who cares? That hate brings me more growth, you know. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you do or that I mean, maybe it's the way you've grown up or being in the trades and seeing it, but is there anything that you've really kind of just like been able to do to work through that?
Definitely so. With my approach is you definitely can't make everybody happy. It's just not going to happen that way.
Hmm.
And but what I found was, it's better to try to make that person an ally or get around why they really dislike it, or and then if you can, to make them say like, no, I'll never try that. But hey, let me give it to you for free. Try it out. Maybe it can change make your opinion change. And then sometimes it does work. I want to say 3 out of 10 times you can't convert it, but some people are not won't allow that to happen, even that dialogue to go. So you just have to let that go because even I've found myself, disliking a tool or whatever it is, but I don't know the particular need. There is a reason why somebody came up with that essentially product, but as an inventor, I'm not going to go out there and bash them for it because they took the balls to do something and come out with it. And no matter what, you got to give them some respect for putting it out there because many fail to do that and for them to actually get past it where they actually have a physical product that's out there and trying to be sold. It takes a lot, and it takes a lot of money and conviction to go to it. But yeah, some people can't handle it because they can't do the sales part of it. They do let people get to them, and then I don't say they burn out or they just give up because they let the negativity get to them. And far as being grown up that way, I've just been that type of person where a lot of things get to me. I say personally, just by growing up, having to be actually all on my own and just relying on my friends, and then just looking past it and keep going. But I do like to try to help others when I can, but some people don't want to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah.
That
Well, I definitely commend you, man. It's not an easy thing. I
like,
see it a lot. It's probably why I don't tell people what I've done with what I have in a store just because it doesn't matter. Like I just don't my name's nowhere on it. It was like literally a tool that I created with a friend drinking a beer and he just took it and ran with it. But like I just
yeah,
I don't, you know. Um One interesting thing about the ladder holder, let's stay on that if we can, was there a lot of ladders in general, there's a lot of different brands. You have Little Giant ladders, you have Gorilla ladders now, Louisville ladders. Is Louisville? I think Louisville still makes
yeah,
ladders. Um, you have Stepmate, I think. Maybe it's not Mate, but Step something, Step-O-Mate or Mate Step. I think they
yeah.
mainly do like steps, but I know they have like some foldable like kitchen type ladders. When you were designing the first design, maybe onto the evolution of 2, 3, and 4, was it hard to make sure it was a universal? Because I know that was one of the very first questions I asked you when I saw your
Hmm.
tool, is like, what ladder can I use this on? Because like for me, let's say I only use Gorilla ladders.
Right.
You know,
Right.
how did that work in the creative part of your?
Well, what I found was if you see most ladder channels, there's basically the C part that's inside on fiberglass ladders.
Mhm.
They're all the same because that is the universally like width and think for each ladder. Going to a point, let's say past back in maybe 97 or the 70s, somebody had that patent on there to make the best width on it. Eventually runs out, then they're all copying it to make the best. So you see now all these ladders are just alike. If you see King Combo, they're the first coming at it. Not even 8 months later, you see the version of Warner's like that. And it has tweaks on it, but still, it still has the same peel out, come out. The thickness is close. What I'm saying, showing is because they all make it the same,
Oh,
and,
okay.
and that's why my product fits universally to all the different ladders. Like you're naming the Bauer, the Gorilla, the Louisville, the Warner, and then but only thing that's different is a little Giants. Their thickness is still the same around, but they're very thin on the inside. So that's why I was telling you it kind of slides, but the thickness around is still the same. The channel, if that's where you go from a 200-pound ladder, which is I think green, 250 is blue, and then orange is the 300-pound. The channel is still the channel is still the same, but the thickness inside is what's increasing. So it
Yeah.
goes from thin to bigger, and mine conforms to that. So that the thicker the ladder, the tighter it is on the grip. So I made it for a 300-pound ladder, which are the most heaviest ones. Versus for those are for the commercial grade that you're using every day for electricians and whatnot.
Well, if we can, with your version 2, so your the Series 1 plus the roller, was that
Mm.
something you thought of right away? Did you want to do wheels the first time? So those that don't know, it's a ladder carrier, but you you can essentially pull a ladder by on the back end. So
No,
this I'm not familiar with this product. I don't have this one, but you basically put it on the legs. Does it stay stationary or is it removable all the time?
there's three ways to install that. And to answer your first question, that is not my invention. I invented. Well, I'll say I designed it, but it was not my idea. I the person who he came up with that product, he bought my carrier at a store, and because he's seen me on the news, so he contacted me regarding that, and he came and showed it to me. But what he did was he took two Tonka wheels off of the car, and then attached it to the carrier, which basically turned into a mini dolly. And I told him if he wanted to come, if he wanted to go through with it, he would need to get to get money out to get that going. But I will put it on the brand and we'll roll it together. But it still had to be designed. So I got on the patent because I had to design it where it could be attached to my carrier without he had it screwed on there like just some taco wheels, just plain old taco wheels. But I had to design it where it would snap in there, and then I designed it so it can either be zip tied to the ladder. That's because some people don't want to put holes in a ladder. They've been brought up that way, which is perfectly fine to drill into it. And then I made it where you can drill into it with two holes, so you can actually mount it to the side. So you just tip it and roll it like luggage. The third way was so that it will attach to my carrier, and then you just snap it on, and then you're done. You just it stacks in 5 seconds, and then you can just roll it. So there's three different
Awesome.
ways you do that right there.
Well, I love the ladder carrier. I do want to talk about your other products. Before we get to that, let's listen to one of our sponsors because I'm going to swallow some of my words with this next product after this commercial. Hey everyone, Splash here with Monkey Run Products, your go-to ladder safety and paint accessories. Let's first talk about their paint accessories. If you're going through rollers and just tired of throwing them away or just don't have the time to clean them, they have the new Spin Pro and Spin Pro Mini available. It's an amazing tool. It'll do your 3-inch all the way up to your 18-inch if you have the wherewithal to use those monstrous rollers on the job site. Also, their ladder accessories are amazing. It's like having an extra hand up on the ladder, but safely being able to access all your tools that you need to get the job done. Visit my friends at monkeyrung.com. Use my code SPLASH10, and make sure you subscribe to their emails because they have a whole list of tools coming out for 2023, and you do not want to be left behind. All right. So, JD, I want to set something up for our listeners. I think you know, but I'll be very transparent in this part of this conversation. I mean, I always am, but I owe you an apology. Honestly, I do. And your second product was a product that is for paintbrushes. So when I saw it, I think you actually wrote me on. I had not met you yet, but you were in the prototype. It's called the Cutting Edge. And first, tell everyone what the cutting edge is and why you saw a need for it from the perspective of you, if you don't mind.
Gotcha. Before I'd say that, I'm gonna do a little plug, which is for Monkey Run, which some of you may not know. I know the inventor. He helped me in a way get started. When I first started my letters history, or the carrier, I saw that they were on the National Hardware Show the year before, and I was going to go to that. And I reached out to him, and he basically kind of took me under his wing because he'd had his product up for years. They're a great company. Lawrence is the inventor, and respect them all of today because they were, they're trying to make it just like I am, and he helped me get essentially get some little steps along the direction. Okay, aside from that, for the cutting edge, why I came up with the idea of it. Being in the paint industry, which is I'm not in the paint industry, but the ladders, they're considered in the category of paint. So I see a lot of, over the years, I was seeing a lot of different kind of, paint products. I don't know if you can see me now, but yeah. I was seeing these different paint products, and they just kind of took mental note of them. But it was one year that I was at the National Hardware Show, and I had seen a product that a guy had, and he had an edger that was over a paintbrush. Now, bear in mind, I had painted my room. Like you can see, this room's kind of painted right here. I did the living room with my wife before, and I said, I'm no painter. And I put tape up, and I did accents all throughout there. It took a long time, and I swear I would never do it again. And just paid the people, because now I understood why they charge so much, because I was doing them colors. But anyway, I got it. And so fast forward to this, I seen that he had this product that was just it was a small little paintbrush, but it was like an edge. And I had asked him, like, why is it only this little paintbrush? And he said, well, he had other models coming out, and so it got me thinking. It was over the paintbrush is only one side of it, so I just said, I could design something that would work for all paintbrushes, but I couldn't come up with a design to make it work for all of the paintbrushes. So I left it alone for like 6 months. So then fast forward, I had a review with Lowe's coming up for my carrier, because I got with the buyer. It was on their site. This is right when COVID hit. And so I had my meeting booked to go to the corporate office to show my carrier. But this is for the paint buyer, and not the ladders. This is for like carrying for paint cans. So I was like, it'd be nice if I could actually have that other prototype, because you want to have them to lure something that was more his level, so I can go there with two things, that and then what I'm coming up with next. So I went back to designing, and then once I started going at it, I've seen my issues, my flaws with the design, with basically the paintbrush and on the side. If you're going a different direction, or if you're painting down versus to the side, I guess I could show you better right here.
So for those that don't know, the paintbrush, well, I'll explain a little bit. So you're talking about an angled paintbrush that we're talking about.
Angled paintbrush. Like, some people can paint going straight down this way, and then other people paint this direction. Yeah. My direction was only going like one-sided, so I was like, well, what about this direction? So then I had to put one this side, and then I had to put one this side. So eventually I had to make it all the way around. So it was supposed to be, when I envisioned it, a guard, so to speak, like a shield that you would see that you kind of just paint over, but it was over your brush, so you didn't have to have it on your hand. But I had made each part of the round there collapsible, and then it was a happy accident that I gave it to my wife to try out, that she pinched the bristles of it, and then I was like, that's it. That's what it needs to have, was basically to flatten them out, and you can get a nice sharp line and not have to try to have a guard, because I can't paint freehand like most contractors could. So then I wanted to be as possible, or widely suitable. So I made extra, like I made it breakable. I made it where you can use the hook can for something, because there are products that go onto your paintbrush to hook it to the paint can. So I added that to there, and then I seen the products that were for cleaning the brush afterwards. So I added the brush to the side of there, and then it's also the hard case cover. At the time, there weren't any out there, but I did have seen that there was another company that made just the plastic part out there. But my product did that as well, just by its sheer design, that it would allow for it to cover the brush for storage. So put all those things together. I showed it to them. COVID hit, everything got put on pause. So then I really just got more grinding with it, like and fine tuning it. That's when I kind of reached out to you during that time, see if you would try it, and some of the IGs while it was still in the 3D printed stage. I didn't really get anywhere with it. Only with I said with the trials, because y'all are professionals, you really don't need it for those reasons. So once I did release it in August of 2020, within the first month on Lowe's, I had maybe over 120 some odd orders just for the product alone. So fast forward to today, that's where we're getting that particular product into Lowe's with our 2.0, because it's so thousands on there, and that's we get into the stores that's hitting in the May.
So before I get to what I want to tell you, and apologize because there's a story behind it. Those that don't know, when you get into a store, whether you're online or you're working to be on a shelf, these stores, like these bigger stores, Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Do It Best, they'd like multiple SKUs. You've heard me say that before in the show. Like, so when JD said like, hey, they want that, I want to take another product with me. That's a pure entrepreneur mind. That's smart on you to know, like, hey, if I can bring them something else. But a lot of tool creators don't understand that. They want to hit that home run with the first one. It's not to say that the first one wasn't a home run. It's to say, listen, the more you have, the more companies are going to look at you and be like, wow, you're tangible. You can keep feeding me. If I take these two ideas, then I can let you work on 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. So I have your prototype. So I've never shared this story with you. So I apologize in advance. Here's my sincere apology publicly. Because it's so... I've never, let me make sure. In my experience of being splashed on social media, I've never thrown a company under the bus. I have changed from Titan to Graco. I'm 100% Team Graco. Graco's they're one of my sponsors. They have been for years. By the way, speaking of Graco, go visit their new website because they have some really cool tips out. The neon ones, I got them right here. Just got them. So go visit them. They're awesome. If you're a sprayer, you need to get their new, they're called the Rack X. They're neons. So the LPs and the LLPs or the FFLPs have changed. So talk to your local Graco dealer and get that on. So enough of that. I've never thrown a company under the bus just because I know it takes some cojones to make a tool. So I'll never forget the day that I got your tool. And bless my wife's heart. I don't know. She wasn't at NHS with me. She was at the PCA. I thought maybe you'd met her, but she wasn't at the show with me. I got your product. You send me the demo. Like it's like a very, very flimsy, and you put a note like very flimsy. And my wife and kids are always like curious. And we have a very set rule. When we eat dinner, no cell phones. And that's always been a rule. And I would tell everyone, like, spend that time with your family. It's important. So, and I kind of nonchalantly said, well, it's a tool. I don't really think I'm going to use it. It's not for the professional. Now, at that time, I'm in the midst of Splash. Like, I'm creating this character, this monster. Like, my ego was like, I'm the best sprayer in the world, you know, and I'm literally talking to HGTV at the time to try to get a show going. And Netflix, like, just reaching out as much as I can. I'm not even an octopus. I'm like a squid with 1,000 arms at this point. And I remember I'm getting ready to do my giveaways for Christmas. And I tell my wife, I'm like, it's nothing. So we clean up dinner. She gets in it and she's like, why is this nothing? And I said to her, I said, you know, again, I'm going to pull the curtain back. I'm like, because I'm a professional. I don't need a damn tool. I don't need any tape for me to tape a straight line. Now, that's an ego. It's confidence. For me, it's confidence and knowing what I'm capable of doing. So I reached out to you. I think I told you back, like, hey, I like the tool, but it's just not for me. And at that point in my career, as being a social media person, I was like, look, God, this is really hard to admit in open space, but I need to be very truthful in what Blue Collar Tribe is about. And I just was like, this isn't going to work, man. You know, I can't promote it, and I don't know if you remember the conversation.
Mhm.
Like I can't. It's
Yeah.
nothing that I can stand behind. That's the way I looked at it
Yeah.
then. So fast forward a few weeks later. Well, with every tool that I get, if someone saw my toolboxes, like my boxes in my shop, they'd be like, "What is this? What is this? What is this?" Like I get some really cool things sent to me. Some of
Right.
them, like I'm not going to use, some I do. So my wife ended up using it. Well, she's not a person that gets on the ladder. She can paint, but when it comes to like I started my business being a Pinterest style house painter. So someone saw
Yeah.
something like, "Hey, do it." I didn't tape. And now you've been on social media enough that you know this. Like us hardcore painters, we're like, a real painter doesn't use tape. A real painter doesn't, we can spray everything and like we can go on and on. And you have guys just talk shit, guys, men and women that just talk shit about being a painter. So she used it. She's like, "You're stupid. This tool works." She's like, "Maybe it's not for you, but it could be for
Mhm.
someone else." I kind of blew that off in the back of my mind, like, whatever. So we're on a job site and I have a bunch of guys. And the way I have it, and this is how to pull the curtain back, when someone like you sends me a product to demo, 80% of the time I tell them like, "Hey, here's this tool. I need you guys to use it." Like I'm using it myself, but then I'm giving them, or I have about 6 Instagrammers and a few now on TikTok that I trust. I can say, "Hey, look, BOXTOWN sent me some products. I'm going to send them to you. I need you to tell me. Don't post anything about it. Just tell me what you really think." And I
Mhm.
kind of get in their back pocket like, "Hey, it's a free tool, but I want to know. So 2 of my guys grabbed the product that you had. And now, mind you, it was one of your first concepts. It wasn't really, I think I have a real version of it now. Um,
Mhm.
Actually, I don't know. I don't remember. And they started using them all the time. And so my wife would pop in every once in a while and she comes up and she's like, "Told you, asshole," you know? And it was very humbling,
Mhm.
and I, like I said, I want to apologize to you because as the perception of, and you did take it gracefully, the perception of being the professional painter is like, "Listen, I have this image that I'm getting the chills telling you this, JD. Sorry.
Mhm.
Like I have this image that I have to portray. Like I'm fucking badass. I don't need
Mhm.
this tool." Well, let's put the image down. Let's become human, which we all should be. And I preach that, being the hippie painter that I am. But like, it's okay if it doesn't work for you.
Mhm.
You know, I know guys that like myself, like when we spray, I rather spray with a wand attached. Like speaking of Graco, like I rather spray with a wand in my hand. I don't like just the gun. I'm a way more efficient, a better sprayer. We'll go to the paintbrushes since yours is a paintbrush product.
Mhm.
I've used in my lifetime, I bet you I've used over 150 different paintbrushes, and that's not a lie. I think that's like a lower model. I like, I mean, behind me in the video, I got a Stinger paintbrush. I love the Stinger paintbrush. Is it the
Mhm.
best? Is it the best paintbrush on the market? It's not for everybody. The Monkey Rung products. As you talked about Monkey Rung, is it for everybody? I think it is. Your ladder carrying system, is it for everybody? Yes, I think if you own a ladder, you should own Boxtown products for ladders. Your paintbrush thing, is it for everybody? It's not for every painter, but there's
Mhm.
certain painters that need that extra hand. It's just like with your ladder carrier. You need that extra hand. So it really is a product that everybody can use, not just the DIYer. And I had this ego, and I apologize about that, JD. Like
All
I
right.
had this ego of like, I have to have this image. But if the reality of it is like you took a thought when you saw a need, and you're like, "I'm going to make this." You had the cojones to be like, "All right, I got this. I'm going to do this." And when I saw guys using it on my job site, my wife kind of nudges me, calls me an asshole. I'm like, "All right, you're right. I got to be more
Mhm.
open to shit like that because I'm out here preaching like you can't do this and that." But like, let's fast forward today to your tool. I see people using it. I see professionals using it. I see DIYers posting about it at time to time. I mean, for hell's sake, JD, you are in, how many online stores are you in right now? You're in quite a few.
Online, there, I want to say it's not thousands, but it's like hundreds. Because a lot of these people I don't know, they buy it through one of the distributors and then they post it up. But in over 4,000 stores across the United States, Canada, and New Zealand. And then if it gets into the full expansion of Lowe's, then they'll make it over closer to 6,000 with the numbers that I'm actually going with right now. and it's a slow grind. I mean, like, I've been waiting on Lowe's for 3 years once the pandemic hit, but it does take a lot of money to essentially go out there. First, just getting the product going, but then it's like doing these shows. I was saying that they cost a lot of money, and you have to wait to get them back. And it does make me feel good to see that people are using them. But that's essentially it kind of fades because it doesn't really good for business wise if your product's not selling. It does feel good to people seeing and use it, but if you're not making money for it, then it's just going to die. So now it's more business, I won't say oriented, because since it's full time into it, I need numbers. I need them essentially to be selling and getting it out there. So like social media, when I reached out to y'all, like you yourself, it was more for feedback like from the professional versus like from the DIY. Like I know you wouldn't use it for the edging, but what my angle was for like you and your followers was for the other features, for as a hard case cover, for it as flattening the bristles so that if the bristle gets frayed out, that it actually pushes them back down. For those other uses, in that case, like what could you use it for?
Yeah.
And but also the negative sides of it too, because you kind of need that to combat somebody who is coming at you negative. And if you already have the answer for that or something to think about, then that can eventually turn them on your side. Because if you go back with negativity, then nobody's going to win, and then you're just going to bunt and go away. But if they come at you negative and you can make them not feel defensive about your answer, then they're more ample to listen to you, because you can usually tell when somebody's being defensive, or they lash back out type of way, or they say you're stupid, or you probably don't want to use anything that somebody offers you because you're stuck in your ways. And I have found that men are usually 35 to 50 are the ones that are most resistant to trying new things. Women 18 to 60 usually don't have a problem of trying something new, because a lot of guys are just stuck in the ways. So the younger guys, 18 to 35, they're the usual ones doing the grunt work. So they're the ones looking for the new ways. But typically, the 35-year-olds are the ones who are buying the equipment for the younger guy. So
Yeah.
they'll say they don't need it, or they'll berate them for trying something new. So that's what usually the kind of flip side to it, and that's with any tool out there. I mean, we're going to be a new type of hammer that somebody's going to say, it's I got this for it, or like the little tool that hits things. I've seen the vendor, the tool that hits on a nail.
The spring thing. Yeah, I have a few of them.
Yeah, I've seen people talk trash on that, and that's been around for a long, long time, and it has its place. And then it's there when you do need it, type thing. I ran essentially the same kind of scenario. The tool is needed, and then when it's not, it's just put in your toolbox. Because I've had people say, "Well, where's it at when I need it? When I actually need it?" I was like, "Well, where's your screwdriver when you actually need it? It's not always going to be in the exact place when the time you need to put the screw back in. You got to go get it."
And you're right. And for like the coverage part of like when you're talking about holding your paintbrush after you're using it, it holds the bristles in place. I was already tied in with another company promoting it. Sadly, they got sold out. And my opinion, it's just kind of gone to shit since the guy bought it. But that's neither here nor there. But it's those of us that like tools in the contractor world of being blue collar tribe, we're very prideful. And I guess part of this conversation is like, everything has its place. Don't be afraid. And you are right. I mean, I'm 43 years old. We're at this stage of life where like, I know everything, and it is very egotistical. Some of it is talent based. Like we just know. I mean, for me in the tool world space now, my approach when I see things like, oh man, no, you weren't there. It was a different trade show. There was a trade show that I was at that, I still have the tool in my garage and I've never used it. And like when I saw it, I'm like, what the heck? But when I see it now, I'm like, it makes sense. In essence, I actually don't even know. I don't know if I can say what it is because I don't know. Okay, well, they're out there. They've been out there. I don't know where they're at now. So it's this metal belt loop that holds your gallon of paint around your waist where your belt goes. And you can walk with it. So you're not carrying your paint, but you walk with it. And it's like correctly made so it doesn't swivel and splash. And like, I don't wear belts. Like, that's my reason
Yeah.
for not. I rarely wear belts. So, but a lot of blue collar people lace their boots and put on a belt every morning. So there is value in it.
Yeah.
And so you push through it. The product is very useful. Your product is, I think what I'm saying in the big pictures, I saw it for one thing and then didn't see what it was all for,
Mm-hmm.
and so I tell people, like, when you see a tool and you don't think you want it, pull back for a minute. And my wife loves to throw this around at me, but like, I have like 7 different drills. They all do the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Without getting into names, some of my drills cost $300. Some of my drills cost $100. But
Mm-hmm.
I buy them all. I have, hell, how many little giant ladders do I have? Do I need them all? No, but I buy them because I like them, and it goes with that. So you have this product now. You're actually, just looking at just the Instagram page of BOXTOWN team, you have Ace Hardware, Homeware Hardware, DoItBest.com, Lowe's, Mitri, and then Orschel Farmhouse. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of them, but you're in these stores. So you're pushing through the bullshit. You're pushing through the naysayers, and it speaks volumes to you, JD. Like, when you have companies like Ace, Do It Best, or was it Orwell you were at? Is that what the name of the company is? The last trade show you were at. Orwell. When you're at companies like that and you're having people from Australia, New Zealand come to you and want to buy your product, these guys aren't stupid. These men and women that are buying products, they're not stupid. They know what's needed in those places that are being bought. So let's fast forward to today. You actually have a new product I've never even seen. Again, I've said this before. When you follow over 200 people on social media and you have a growth of, like, when you have over 5,000 followers, it does become hard. I know I get shit from people all the time, like, hey, you never comment on my stuff. And I really do get people that DM me like, hey, you never. I'm like, dude, I sorry, you don't show up,
Yeah.
And it's not to be. And then, like, will you go to Graco? Like, again, it's all algorithm based. Like, right now on TikTok, I am stuck on 2 things of TikTok. So those that aren't on TikTok are fairly new. You will get stuck on an FYP page, which is a For You page. It basically, it's videos you've looked at, kind of like. I am stuck on fucking roofers of TikTok and fishing women of TikTok. I'm tired of my screen, actually, because everything is either some woman fishing. I'm a big time fisher person, but for some reason it's just like, it's like bikini, and I don't know. I'm like, what the hell?
So it's just all that the same thing.
And then the other things is roofers, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't want to be a roofer. Like, I'll jump on a roof if you need me to, but it changes. So, like, before you reach out to someone who's on social media, guys and gals, like, understand that when you have over 200 people you are following, it's hard. When you have 100,000, like I've surpassed that 6 figures now, it becomes really hard to know. I do clean house, though. I actually just refollowed someone about 3 days ago, and he wrote me, and I love him for it. He wrote me back, he's like, what the fuck, you unfollowed me? Well, I have a company that I've worked with before, and I use them once a year. I do it in December. They clean house. If I have not made any contact with you, seen your page or made any contact with you, they clean up my page for me. They get rid of bots, so I don't have bot followers. They get rid of people who I follow, but I don't engage with. So I do try to be good at it, but like, it's funny to see that, like, hey, you didn't shine the light on me. And it's like, listen, if I could, trust me, I would shine the light on every one of you, because you're probably a lot more relevant than I am, depending on your space. So, but what is this new tool? I'm on your website. I'm looking at it. Tell me some information, because you have, one's called the all-in-one tool cup, one's an all-in-one ladder bumper covers, and then one's called an all-in-one tool holster attachment. So you actually have 3. These are 3 new tools.
Yeah. What this is, I'll start with the first one. This is the bumper cover. Now, because most painters that at least I've seen on top of their car, they have either white cloth wrapped around their extension ladder,
Guilty as
or
charged. Guilty as charged, man.
or the blue bumper cover that's from Warner that's
the blue ones.
blue in it. Yeah. So what I did was I looked at those and I saw what the problems were, because also with me being a low voltage technician, me on extension ladders, the problems I ran into while I was up high working on something. There wasn't a place to put my drill gun, and there's nothing to say about at least Monkey Run because they sell a product like that. I wanted to be where this bumper cover allowed you to do a bunch of different things, like different attachments. So I made the bumper cover where it couldn't come off, because that was the blue one. It would come off if you close the bumper all the way up. So I made these slits so that you can actually close a ladder and not come up, and then to stop this from actually coming off anymore, it hits into the rung, an all-purpose hook. A lot of times when I was on an extension ladder, I would take something down that needed rope. I need to wrap it around something, so that's what it has on there. And then I made the pegs. So that's one comes in the attachment. So with this right here, which is the holster, I can snap this in right here, and this locks into the bumper. So imagine this is inside your ladder, or where am I right here?
Yeah.
And then you need a place to put your cock gun. This will just slide right inside the hole up here. Now it's there while you're on the extension ladder, and you can do other works, or it can also work for your drill gun. It could be one on the outside, so you can have your drill gun, and then the tool cup allows you to put your hand tools or easy access if you're taking something down to easily grab the screws from the bottom of it. I don't have the tool cup right here, but imagine right here, this is where you'll be grabbing the nuts, because it'll be a rare earth magnet that'll be right there. So you can just take them off and get them as you're on top of the extension ladder.
So I don't need to put any more things in my mouth and hold them in there until I climb off the ladder, because y'all know y'all done that before.
But I made it where these the other attachments were independent from having to use this. So they lock in. So right now, so I'm kind of struggling to get it off there. So they snap in so you can leave it on there. But this can be mounted anywhere. So if you're working on lifts, what you call it on those
the boom lifts.
Boom lifts, but it's also the ladders that you build out, scaffolding ladders.
Yeah.
These have screws where you can mount them onto any of the metal frames or on the inside right here too. So it's doubled them up so that it won't break and won't fall down. So you put a screw here, screw there, or all four, and that way you can always have it there, because this is inexpensive. You can leave it on there. You have a place to put your cock gun, place to put your drill gun, or your hand tools, especially if you use what are those little slack things that you use for drywalls. That's like flat spades, whatever the thing is.
Oh yeah, a hawk.
Yeah, or your 5-in-1 tool. That type of thing can go right in the bottom, stuck to the. It's a big rare earth magnet that it can stick to. It's about the size of this right here.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like that, and it's at the bottom of there, so you can stick anything onto there. But those things are low cost, so that you can have multiple ones and just leave them on there or take them off. But for those that don't want to put holes in a ladder, that is a perceived perception that you probably grew up with, but it's no longer a thing. It's not.
Yeah, my dad told me never to drill into my ladder. He said it would break OSHA's policies.
But OSHA doesn't have policies. They go by the rules of the manufacturer. And with that being said, manufacturers are putting holes in their ladder. So I'm gonna give you two products by example. There is Louisville has a new product called the peg gate or something. So it's a lift gate, but it's for your regular step ladder. It holds you in there. You have to. Their video shows you drilling 2 holes into the side of top rung of the step ladder, this nice extension ladder, and then to mount them. And I'm sure you've seen the ladder stabilizers.
Mm-hmm.
Those you have to drill 2 big bolts at the bottom of your ladder. It is fine to put 2 small screws into any part of your ladder, and it's not going against.
I was really nervous when I did that. I'm not gonna lie. I bought the stable ladder. I have one on one of my ladders, on my orange ladder, on my 30-footer. Very useful tool. Very useful tool.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. And my point being is, it's okay to put 2 screws on the plastic part of your ladder, and it's not going to go against OSHA or anything like that, because there are products now. Now this wasn't existed maybe back in the early 90s when they weren't, but the manufacturers are allowing that to be okay to put those in there. So that's where I kind of come in for that application. Now, plug-in Monkey Rung, they have a higher quality, and their products are very good. I almost must say my two attachments are on the lower end for there's always going to be like the Stanley drill gunner tools, and then you're going to have the high quality and DeWalt. I say Monkey Rung's up there as because his is stainless steel stuff, and they're higher end. Mine's
Mhm.
on the lower end, on the cheaper. That's my
But
market I'm going after.
it's also it's very much preference too. Lawrence,
Hmm.
I use Monkey Ring. They're clearly one of my sponsors, and I've used them for a while. But it depends on what it depends on your need. Like we'll
Hmm.
talk TTI. You're talking drills. Let's talk TTI for a minute. If you don't know, you're going to know now. TTI owns Milwaukee. They also own Rigid. They also own Ryobi. And I'm going to throw one out there that most people don't know. They also own Hart. Okay.
Okay,
So so
Walmart.
so choose. You choose. It's the BMW Audi. It's the Mercedes, the Ferrari. What do you want? Do you want a Chevy or Ford? Do you want a Ram or a Stroker? Like there's so many different variables that you can go with this. And it's preference. Some people like metal things, some people like plastic, some people like rubber things. It's a variable. So there's a
Right.
space for everything. Like I the bumper cover. I mean, like I said, I've never seen that. I think it's a great idea. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through those blue Werner ones, and they're so expensive. They are extremely
Yeah,
expensive.
they're like 12 to, depending on the site, up to 20. I think DeWalt and Louisville's ones are definitely $20. Last week we just did a sale with Lowe's on these for I think it was 14. They're normally around about 20 something, depending on where they're
Yeah,
at. But my suggested in store is $17, so I can compete with them. But yeah, I probably sold probably close to 60 of these in one day. The double
nice.
set. But the only drawback to mine are they are a hard plastic. This is not a cushion. This is for utility. So you have to. There's people working on the ladder. It won't scuff, but don't expect it to be a soft material. It is hard. That way, it stays where it's supposed to be, and then you can hook the attachments onto it. And then the second thing is it doesn't work for. It's not secure, or not secure, but it's specifically for fiberglass ladders. So don't buy them for your multi-purpose ladders. I mean, you could use them on there, but it's going to be rattling around. It's not going to
What
be
about your aluminum? So the picture shows an aluminum. It looks like it's
no.
an aluminum.
It's there. It's a fiberglass.
Oh, that one is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all fiberglass because on the aluminum ones they have a smaller channel.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
Fiberglasses are larger, so I mean this can be on there and it will just move around.
Oh, okay.
Fiberglass is sturdy. I mean, yeah, you could use it, but it's not made from aluminum yet because I have to come up with another model to fit that one specifically so that it's just essentially stable. It doesn't go anywhere. It's
You
snug
and
fit.
you enjoy this, don't you? You
What
enjoy
making?
being an inventor.
Well, it kind of
You
just comes now with it. But yes, I would just shrink this down. I like the designing and creating part more than anything, I would say,
yeah.
or helping others to kind of make something better.
Do you I'm envisioning you right now. You're getting ready to go to bed and you're sitting there thinking, and all of a sudden an idea pops up. Are you the kind of person that gets out of bed real quick and goes and writes it down in your shop, or you wake up at 2 in the morning and you're like, all right, I got to get this done? But that's an inventor's mind, isn't it?
I would say yes and no. I want to say all of us do have that thought to create something, whether it be a pod or your own business. You're painting, you're creating something, and you want to see it grow. But if you're going to a product, I mean, you could have just made something fashioned together with a screw or something that fit what you needed it to do. You create it real quick. It's just the next step is actually going full with it and actually trying to make it mainstream. Or instead, like somebody can just buy it because if you've ever wrapped, I don't know, put the screw through the brush just to stop it on something. You
I've done
create
that before.
you create a solution for a problem that is there.
Yeah.
But if there's a way to make it where you don't have to put it through there and just snapped on there, which others have, then you just go the extra step. Then you're good, and don't let the person that says, "Oh, I can just put a screw through there." Mind you, yes, they could, but you're making it some way it's better, so they don't have to do that. So that's just really going through that process and not letting something else stop you from doing what you want to do. But if you have the capability of doing it, then go after it. But yeah, I've drawn out stuff. I still got a couple of inventions that I've not pursued yet, but they're still there. If I, kick up and make a lot of money with these, then I can actually pursue those, which are more, I would say, not as simple. A lot more moving parts, dealing with an app and other stuff like that. Then I can pursue those other ones, but that's going to require a lot more capital than say injector molds, which are still expensive, but not what I'm thinking that what might cost.
Yeah. Well, JD, I know this is let's pull the curtain back again. Like I wrote you today, like, hey, can you jump on? And I appreciate you taking your time. I know your time is valuable, and time is money in the industry of anything that you do. But I have much mad respect for you, man. You're out there, you're grinding. I do see you at the trade shows. Know that I do see that you're out there and you're hustling. Remember the website for everyone, just so they know, it is BOXTOWN Products. You have a multitude of products on there, and honestly, your products are relatively, like you said. I think that I feel that you've marketed yourself in a sense that like you are affordable. When my son first bought my son has his first car, our first teenager with a car. When we gave him the keys to his car, we drove around with him, and I think a few days later, I told him, I says, hey, now that you have a car, I'm going to teach you a secret that you need to understand as a human. You're going to buy things that are going to break. You're going to need new tires. Don't get mad. It's not worth it. Like, trust me, I've thrown drills. I've done, those actions get to you a little bit, but like you've made your product pricing a part that like, if it does break, if something were to happen to it, it's not bad. And you may have the naysayers, well, why don't you just make the product that doesn't break? Well, everything, I mean, and this is not to throw them underneath the bus. I will call the company out though. DeWalt. I have burned through more DeWalt drills than I've gone through any other company drills. It's not that I'm harder on my DeWalt. It's nothing. I still have a Makita drill from when my dad gave it to me in high school.
Wow.
And I'm 43. It just barely broke because it dropped off a ladder. But it still worked. I actually fixed it. I got it, but it's like a sentimental thing to me because my dad gave it to me. But it's just that. And you're smart about what you do. You're hustling, you're grinding. So we'll wrap it up with this 2-part question. One for the contractors that see your tools, and then one for the inventors. If you're an inventor out there, you have an idea, you have a product, what would be your biggest advice to both of them? Like the contractor that sees your tool, what would you tell them if they kind of scratch their head like, well, I don't know? And then on the other side of the inventor, like if they're literally in that space, like I want to create this, I just don't know, what would you tell them to see that through? Because every place someone's going to buy it.
For the inventor one, I would say first put it on paper, and then if you have the means, and get it into 3D CAD, somebody CAD design it, and then once you actually see it in visual form, that will give you, like, I want to say not a great hype, but it'd be a great motivator to go to the next step to actually print it and actually use it. But do your due diligence, but also don't let something. When I say due diligence, meaning all because you invented something doesn't mean that it wasn't already invented. 20 years ago, just the guy just never did anything with it. But it's an application. If you have your idea, get it to the 3D printed prototype stage, or at least prototype it, so that you can take it to a lawyer, patent attorney, and they'll run the searches for you to see if you didn't have a shot of getting it developed. And if they say no, this is already here, but they'll give you advice on what tweaks you can make it so that you can get, I'm not saying around it, but you're not trying to get around it, but it was still your own idea, but you didn't see it around their patent, so that you can still go. And sometimes you can just be the design, how it looks from functions, and that's what makes it going. To key this in real quick, my patent attorney that I showed my product to at the beginning, based on prior art, which is other adventures that were out there, they said I was unlikely to get a utility patent on it. My best bet was to go with design, just the way it had looked. And I went ahead and did that. But fast forward 3 years from that, or 4 years, I just like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and try and get the utility patent on it. And I was able to get the utility patent on it. So sometimes you take the word for it, but you can always go more. But it does cost a lot more money. the second part was the contractor. You said, what would I would say to them if they were getting my tool?
Yeah, like maybe not necessarily your tool, but tools in general. You've dealt with you deal with the you deal with the shit thrown at you very, very well. From the I mean, even for me, like you understand and you take it, but like when they see a product that they think like, okay, maybe not or maybe not, but like, why would you tell them to say, hey, look, give it a shot? You know,
I would bring them like I would make an example that you can't. It's like you can never tell me out of all the last 5 years that like I'm going to use mine as an example because it's easy for me to draw from. You've never carried like 3 paint cans somewhere and they gripped your hands and you had to go a long way and then you felt like linguini afterwards. Well, yeah, then that's the only time you need to use it for. Okay, well, yeah, I guess you're right. And then at the same time, it's like, well, the cost of it, you buy a combo meal every day, and that thing's like 11, $10 now. I mean, they're like $10 to $15 at some
unless you're in
places.
California, they're 22.
Yeah, they're 22. I said you buy this one time and you replace it with another just a meal if you needed to. It's not that expensive to have it when you need it, or just keep it into place or multiple ones. But if it was somebody else's tool, I would say, yeah, you laugh at it, but do you really see why it was needed? And some can, but some just won't ever see past it because they're stuck in the ways. But that's what I try to do, is to see have them look at the other sides of what it could be used for at a time that they would have needed it, and then they can appreciate it. Because I'm sure what you're talking about, the guy with the belt, that I never experienced it before, but you have. But then you got to realize, well, yeah, well, maybe there's probably one time that would have worked out, needing it in a building. And but still, some things can still never be for you. It's just kind of just getting on their level, understanding why they dislike it. Which I asked the professionals, I go, well, why did you like it? What positive things can you say about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's always a good way to go with it. It's just like, what bad things, but what can you give that as a positive regarding it? And you can always take that, and then we get into more of getting them to like it for the other features it offers.
Awesome. Well, JD, it's honestly truly been a pleasure. I know I met you one time at the NSH. It was a very short, very, very short meeting. And I'll wrap it up with this. If you're a tool inventor, go follow JD, the BOXTOWN team. Like, you want to learn what the grind is like. You want to learn that the early bird, the pushing through everything. JD is very much on that Mount Rushmore of, look, I'm going to push through this shit and I'm going to get it done. And you'll find your audience and that family that needs to work that. And I'll wrap it up with this. Like, listen, blue collars, we are seen every day in the world. You get in your truck, you put your boots on. I speak this every day. Listen, when you're buying that soda pop or filling up with gas, or you're just out in the world, acknowledge another human being, because you just simply saying hi, buying a drink for someone, commenting on their shoes or their jacket can really change another person by making them feel seen as a human being. I know it has nothing to do with blue collar, but it actually has everything, because we're out in the world more than anybody, because we truly are the men and women of this world that make this world turn. Without us, you don't have electronics. You don't have buildings to go sit at a desk. So, and lastly, if you see those little kids, point to them. Let them know that you see them, because they'll remember that some blue collar men or women saw them, waved to them, pointed their hard hat, did the little drill pull. Like, it's important to these young people. We're seeing a decline in blue collars across the world, and it really is up to us to share our time and talents and our experiences and stories. That's what this podcast is about. But much love to you, JD, and we'll hopefully see you at some shows and get some products out there. Let's hear from our last sponsor, from Plant Powered Marketing.
Attention Tribers. Plant Powered Marketing is your cutting-edge marketing agency specializing in SEO, Google My Business, website development, and many other strategies that get you ranked #1 on Google. We're your go-to marketing agency for businesses who want to see real, tangible results from their online presence. Our team of experts has years of experience in getting businesses to the top of Google and generating leads through effective online marketing campaigns. Remember to let us build your next website. Contact us if you want to outrank the competition. Plant Powered Marketing, 971-570-0511 or plantpowered